Let's talk about Generation Z. We're going to talk about the Generation Z, right? You got a lot of people talking about, Generation Z being soft and so forth. But I will tell you this. My experience with Generation Z is these are some young, talented people. The reason why they're young, talented people, and that's my assessment from the Generation Z that, from my niece who's at the University of Oklahoma to business partners and so forth, they grew up in a technology era. They grew up getting education for free. They grew up with YouTube. They grew up with Facebook. They grew up with TikTok. They grew up with Instagram. They grew up with a whole bunch of technology to where they can now learn AI just from YouTube videos, not having to sit in front of a classroom. So these guys are super talented from a technical space. And for the ones who've grown up around other adults and have leveraged other adults, they're really good at soft skills as well, too. So they are a very strong generation. But there's also a good segment of the Generation Z that people are running across that are very, very technical because they grew up in a technology age and they had everything at their fingertips, unlike the generation before them, the millennials, where we came into it a little bit later. I came into the internet probably around 13 years old, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, while these guys grew up with it. The thing that they are lacking is the soft skills element of it, the soft skills and the networking piece of it. And a lot of it is because of the fact that COVID happened, right? When, you're graduating and you're going into a market in 2020, you're looking to enter the workforce and you can't get a job. The only job that you can get is a remote. And, college does teach you some soft skills and so forth on how to work with people. But even college during that time, you had to do remote classes. So you really didn't get an opportunity to, brush up on those soft skills like you ultimately would if you were, working in a corporation in the office and so forth. And that's where, the Generation Z seems to be lacking from the research that I've been gathering. The soft skills and networking skills and so forth, those communication skills, those public speaking skills. And it was because they were robbed of at least 2 years. Think about 2 years of not being able to really engage into public speaking because things aren't open, 2 years of not being able to really sit down in front of a leader or to observe how leaders go about, conducting business inside of a corporation. That robs you quite a bit. I, have kids, right? I have kids, and my daughter started school online. She started school online. And I thought it was the best thing ever, remote school. And, people were telling me that, hey, their kids are struggling and so forth because they were in a school, but then they had to go to remote. And I'm like, why are they struggling? Right? Why are they struggling? When I thought my daughter was thriving in a remote sort of a setting, getting up every single morning, just like I am in front of you, learning from an instructor, talking to an instructor, raising a hand, using tools like Teams and Zoom and so forth. I'm like, that's awesome. What's up, Ladder Climbers? It's Antoine Wade. I wanted to interrupt this video to talk to you guys about Course Careers. Course Careers is the place that you guys need to go if you have a high interest into tech sales. They will help you gain the skills that you need so that you can enter the tech sales world to make a whole bunch of money. Tech sales salaries early on is about $60,000, guys. That's a good salary. And with OTEs, you can make anywhere from $85,000 to $90,000. If you have an interest in tech sales, check out Course Careers, link in the description. And don't forget to use Antoine50 so that you can get a $50 discount off of Course Careers. See you guys in tech sales. And it's awesome as a parent to be able to have a level of flexibility where your kid can actually do school just about anywhere. I remember in February of 2022, we just did a Disneyland trip. Right, I needed to go to the Bay Area, and I said, okay, well, I'm gonna bring my family so that we can go to make a trip in LA and see a couple friends. But I wanted to do Disneyland. My daughter can conduct school from the hotel. She didn't have to miss any days of school, because we could do school just about anywhere in the world. I thought that was fantastic until this year, where we actually put her into a brick and mortar school. And we realized how much of the education she was missing from just being around other people. There's such thing as a level of maturity that you will get when you were around people socializing. And that's the exact same thing as college graduates or the Generation Z who were robbed of the opportunity to be in an office with somebody, talking to somebody, being able to get up and go and ask that expert who's been into the game for, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, how to conduct themselves or how to do something with Microsoft Excel and so forth. They were robbed of that opportunity. So when you're robbed of that opportunity, you're going to be behind a bit. So what is it that's the responsibility of corporations? Well, corporations is going to have to figure out ways that they can help these individuals brush up on their soft skills. We know soft skills are important. Soft skills is what helps business run. Soft skills are what help, you earn a high salary and things like sales, because the most important thing about sales is being able to effectively communicate, listening, being able to build relationships and so forth. So, the skills that Generation Z are going to have to brush up on are those soft skills, guys. And you as a leader into a company, I want you guys to start to look at these talented individuals who just may not have had the opportunity to brush up on it over the last couple of years because they've been in a remote environment. And many of them have stayed in a remote environment, right? So think about that. When you're 30, they're 30, they grew up in a remote environment. Their communication skills aren't the best. Yes, there's going to be some social awkwardness, but we as leaders, we as the next generation that's going to be in the VPs, the CEO suites, as we're running companies, we're going to have to look back and say, okay, well, how is it that we can keep this business growing? And we have to invest in that talent, invest in them gaining those soft skills. Because if you don't have soft skills, you can be as talented as you want on the hard skills side. And guys, the difference between soft skills and hard skills is something that you can learn on a job, Excel and so forth. But those soft skills are those relationship, those interpersonal skills that you cannot necessarily be trained on, right? You have to develop those with experience, being around people and so forth in an environment for a good amount of time. So those are the skills that Generation Z is going to have to brush up on in the workplace in order for business to continue to operate as efficient as it needs to be. Otherwise, they're going to be in the back office, doing the work without talking to people for a good amount of time and so forth, guys. So Generation Z, you're a talented group of individuals, especially on the technical side. But an area of improvement is the soft skills, communication skills. And a lot of people are pointing that to what happened during COVID. And I'm going to tell you like this, guys. If you are a Generation Z person that's actually watching this today, we've heard the same thing as the millennials. I've heard the same exact shit, to be honest with you, coming into the workforce. Hey, these guys don't have soft skills. And I can say this, at the end of the day, when you come into the workforce, you really don't. Those are things that you have to develop over time by going through situations and learning from others. And if you want to develop those soft skills, I'm going to tell you like this, guys. And one of the most important things that you can invest in this year is mentorship. That's one of the most important things that you can invest in is mentorship, right? If you want mentorship, sign up for the Black Heights Patreon. You want mentorship, book a coaching session or a mentorship session with me. Mentorship is a way that you can, one, learn from your experiences. But I would tell you this, that's going to be one of the slowest that you can that's going to be one of the slowest ways that you can actually learn, is by learning through your own experiences. That's how I typically learn, to be honest with you. And I'm going to tell you like this, I'm a slow learner, right? But if you're going to go that path, you have to understand that things are going to be a little bit slower for you and you're going to develop a little bit slower. However, you can also pay for mentorship. You can pay for mentorship by seeking the knowledge from other individuals and learning from their mistakes, right? You can talk to somebody who's been through what you're attempting to do, and they can say, hey, you can really spend a whole $30,000 on this, and I've done it before. And I'm gonna tell you like this, it's going to be a failure for you. So you can, keep your money in your pocket and not do it, right? You can pay for mentorship as well during that way by, seeking a mentor. And you can do that with, joining the Black Heights community or reaching out to individuals who are in this chat today. Or you can pick up a damn book. It's another way that you can pay for it. Pick up a book and learn from somebody who's put it on paper and learn from them. That's another inexpensive way for you to learn and to develop without having to spend so much time going through it and making mistakes and wasting a whole bunch of money. I say this, I think the latter two are probably the fastest, right? Seeking people like myself who's gone through certain situations and paying for a mentorship session, or either going out and buying a book so that you and learning so that you don't repeat some of the same things that people have gone through, and you can speed through life a little bit faster without making those same mistakes. Okay.